if you click on that and then go to, there's a U at the bottom of that. This sermon's not there today? Dag nabbit. Who's in charge of that? Oh, it's me. I'm in charge of that. Don't go to the YouVersion app. So just follow along. Because apparently it's not there. I made the pictures and everything. Dag nabbit. That's what it was. If your faith had like a dimmer switch, would it be the kind of thing that you adjust depending on what room you're in? You know what I mean? Would your dimmer switch, would your faith like change depending on what place you're in? Like if you were like around certain friends or on certain websites, would this be the state of your dimmer switch, like in your faith? Like, well, keep this on the DL, right? Because my faith has nothing to do here. Like, people don't want to hear about my faith. I don't want people to know about my faith, because if they know I'm a person of faith, then they're going to have these expectations of me, or they're, you know what I mean? And so is it like that, or is it like I'm going to turn this a little bit on, like maybe like around my neighborhood or at work, there's just a little bit of Jesus, a little tiny. Like you saw that back foot, little Jesus, right? Just back there. Or maybe it's the kind of thing where like you're like, I'm at church and it's like on. I'm on. At church, I'm on. If I'm at men's group, I'm on. If I'm at grounded, I'm on. If I'm going to paint pottery, I'm on. I'm on. Right? Dimmer switch. Or maybe sometimes you feel like if you're at a hyper spiritual place, like if you're at a national prayer meeting, or if you're like online and you're like mad at someone that doesn't agree with you politically, so you like turn on your full bore, like you say, this is my faith because you offend me. I'm turning it all the way up. Do you do that with your faith? Is there a dimmer switch on your faith? Same person, different settings. And if we're honest, most of us have learned to adjust it. Turn it down so we don't stand out. Turn it up when we want to be seen. Manage it depending on who's watching or who's going to be in the room. We manage it. We manufacture it when we need to, and we hide it when we don't want it. We don't often think of it this way, but that's either hiding or performing. I'm either hiding some of it or overperforming some of it. And then Jesus says something that just doesn't leave room for either. He says this. He says, oh golly. You, okay. Is it me? Is it you? You, me, you, me, me. That's from my Saturday Night Live sketch. Anyway, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Not turn it up when it's appropriate or turn it down so you don't offend. Just you are. You are. Which means the goal isn't to manage the light. It's to stop adjusting it. In other words, and here's our big idea today, light isn't something you manufacture or control. It's something you reveal. It just is. You don't manage it. It's not a matter of management. Here's our scripture verse. It's been the same scripture verse for 3 weeks. You should have it memorized by now. You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. So let's be clear. Light is meant to be seen. The purpose of light is to be seen. And Jesus isn't against visibility. He wants us to be visible in our faith. What he is against is distortion. Don't add anything or take anything away from the light. Don't distort the light. He says a city on a hill cannot be hidden. Light, by its nature, is visible, noticeable, and public. That's the whole purpose of light. That's the whole purpose of us, is to be visible and noticeable and public. In Philippians, it says this, so that you may prove yourselves to be blameless, again, and guileless, innocent and uncontaminated, children of God without blemish in the midst of a morally crooked and spiritually perverted generation, among whom you are seen as bright lights, beacons shining out clearly in the world of darkness. Yesterday, I was taking pictures for St. Norbert. They, not for the actual St. Norbert, because he's dead, but at St. Norbert College. And it was like kids that won some kind of award. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and there was this guy that was there, and he was like really super friendly and greeting everybody. And then like when there was no one to greet, he started greeting me. So how long have you been taking pictures? A long time. You've been taking pictures a long time. I'm like, whoa, back off, because like you're coming on too hard with me. But then I'm like, okay, well, let's, so I was listening, and he turns out he's part of campus ministry. That's what a campus minister should do, I guess. Anyway, but we got to talking, and I learned some about his faith and stuff. And then, he was asking what it is, why do I take pictures? Or what do I love about taking pictures? I said, I love people. Like, pictures are nothing to me. Like, I know what my f-stops are, and I know what, I know what I'm supposed to do, but it's secondary to me. I love being around people. I find something about everyone I know to fall in love with. And like, even if I'm just taking their picture, I'm falling in love with something about them, something about their face, something about their, I'm sure if you're here, I probably said something to you, like, oh my God, like just today when Abby came in, her hair's growing out. So there's these little two curly things right here. She's like a little, and like, they're super cute. And like, now I want to take Abby's picture, right? And so I do that. I fall in love. And so this is what I love about my job. I love taking pictures. And so I was telling him about that. And then I go back to taking pictures, and, I'm doing my thing. And then he comes over and says, I got to tell you, you're fantastic at connecting with people. You're fantastic about making people feel seen or admired. Like, I'm stunned watching you do that. Now I tell you that, again, not so I look good, but because like, I want to be seen. I'm a light, bro. I want to be a light. Like, I want people to feel something when they're around me. And so when you ask me about my light, that's what my light looks like. Now, we might say that, like, I'm going to tone it down. So I talked about this guy, Andrew. I said, listen, back off, man. It's too strong for me. And so we might think we're being humble by being quiet about our faith, by like toning it down a little bit. I'm going to be humble, and I'm not going to like live out my faith and rub it in everyone's face and stick it in everyone's nose. I'm going to be humble about that. But that's not humility. That's fear. It's fear. I'm afraid to get rejected. I'm afraid that people will think I'm a weirdo. I'm afraid that people will think what? We'll say, I just want to keep my religion quiet so I don't offend anybody. Well, if what we're bringing into the world, if how we're lighting the world, my light, if it looks like love and grace and hope and mercy and kindness, why would I feel like I need to hide that? Why would I ever need to hide love or kindness or mercy or grace? What? If I'm living out my faith the way that God told me to live out my faith, with love, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, gentleness, self-control, right? If I'm doing all that stuff, what am I hiding? People will always say, well, Jesus was love, grace, and truth, and look what they did to him. Okay, back off. A, you're not Jesus, so write that down. I didn't mean to point at you for that, Zach. No. But that kind of offense isn't offense because we're being harsh. That kind of offense comes from being exposed. Jesus, people were offended by Jesus because he exposed them. Love can prove to dag nabbit today. Love can prove offensive to those who have something to hide. Love could feel like, oh my God, no, because I don't want you exposing this about me. And that's what Jesus did. He was exposing the lies that people were living, the untruths, the duplicity. And so that's what they were offended by, not the love. But that's another sermon. We'll talk about it another time. The real issue is this. A lot of what people have experienced as religion isn't love or hope or grace. So the thing that we are trying to hide, if they think that I'm religious, they're going to assume this about me, that I'm ready to judge them. I'm ready to look down my nose at them. I'm ready to cast them out. I'm ready to so much of religion looks like that, doesn't it? That's religion, and it isn't love or hope or grace. It's judgment and superiority and condemnation. So yeah, that's offensive. So if that's your religion, then yeah, maybe do put a basket over that. If that's your brand of religion, maybe keep that under a bushel. Maybe turn the lights off for a second, if that's what you're shining. But that's not what we're called to be. We're not called to be judgmental or superior or condemning. So the question isn't, will this offend someone? The question is, what kind of light am I actually shining? The love kind of light or the condemnation kind of light? And that's why God guides us against distorting his light, leaving it up to us. He doesn't want us to try to figure that out. The Bible's really clear about what our faith looks like, about what our light looks like. But we distort it, and we do it in one of two ways. The first way is to hide the light in shame. Now, this is turning the lights down or off completely, is one of the ways that we react, one of the ways we distort. Jesus says, do not put it under a basket, but we do. Not physically, but socially. We stay quiet when something should be said. We downplay our faith to fit in. We avoid being associated with Jesus in certain spaces. But why? What are you protecting when you do that? If you're not fully Jesus, what are you protecting? Well, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my place in society. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to lose my reputation. I don't want to lose my... What is it that you're saying that you don't want to lose? If you're not like Jesus every day, what are you not wanting to lose? If you're not... Listen, if you're I'm a social media person. If you're a social media person, do the people on social media know that you're a Jesus person? Or do they know that you're, what, a super political person? Or a super, I don't know, kite fly? I don't know. What do people do on social media? I don't know. Fly kites. I do feel like they fly kites. Like, what do they know about you? But if they don't know that you're a Jesus person, what are you doing? What do you have in your mouth right now, Jimmy? Oh, Jimmy keeps looking at me, and he's got the lifesaver in the front of his teeth, so it looks like he has a big gap between two teeth. He's like smiling at me, and it's like, golly, Jimmy. Listen, let's get you a dentist appointment, man. Sorry, it's really distracting for me. I wasn't trying to. I know. I'll take it. But really, though, what are you protecting? And if you're not a social media person, maybe you're a bar person, maybe you're a volleyball person, maybe you're whatever you are. Do people there know? Do people know that you're a Jesus person, or do they know that you sometimes go to church? Because that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. A church person isn't the same thing as a Jesus person. And the church person doesn't even matter. When we get there to the other side, we stand with the big book and God and St. Peter and the gate and all the other stuff. Like, there's no thing that says, were you a church person or were you a Jesus person? That's the question. And if you're a Jesus person, I can't hide that light. Somewhere along the way, we started to feel embarrassed and hesitant and ashamed of religion. Because religion can get ugly. So that's why don't know me by my religion. Know me by my love. I don't want to stand around somewhere and talk about, well, this and this is my theology and and I'm pro this and anti that and I'm this and I don't want anything to do with that. I want people around me to feel loved, to be felt that they were being regarded, seen. There's nothing to be embarrassed about that. In Romans 1:16, it says this. Oh, there it is. Maybe it's right up here. Is it right up here, Doug? Is this where it is? For I am not ashamed of this good news about Christ. It is the power of God at work, saving everyone who believes, the Jew first and also the Gentile. I am not ashamed of this good news about Christ. Not ashamed. I'm not hiding it. Is the gospel good news for you? If you're here today, is the gospel good news? Like literally it's good news, but is it good news? Thank you. Do you have a ticket to ride? Do you have a free pass? Has God made a difference in your life? Has he done something for you? If any of that's true, you should not be ashamed. If it is true, wait, did I say that right? Thanks. If it is true, hey, let's get coffee. Let's get coffee and talk about what your expectations are of God and what your expectations are of life. Let's figure it out, like, because if you need help to like point out, like a Sherpa, to help point out like what God's doing in your life, like I'm here. I'm here for it. Because I'm telling you, I see him working in your lives. And it's good news, and I should not be ashamed of that good news. This isn't about being loud or obnoxious. It's about being honest about who you follow and who you find hope in. I'm not talking about Jesus shirts. I'm not talking about fish stickers on my car. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about being honest about who I follow. Are you being honest about who you follow? Or are you trying to hide it and cover it up with your own what? Your own good works? Your own good behavior? Your own good attitude? Your own kindness? The only kindness you have is because of the righteousness of God. Because I can tell you that because it's the only kindness I've got. And so there's nothing to protect. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so mad about that. Christian, ask yourself, if Jesus actually is who we say he is, why do you treat him like something to hide? If you stand in here and you sing the songs and you pray the prayers and you agree about how awesome Jesus is, why do you treat him like something to hide? He's either everything or nothing. He's not ever kind of something. The other distortion is showing off the light of performance. This is the other side of the same coin. This is where we crank the dimmer way, way, way up. Not only do we not hide it, we broadcast it. But not always for the right reasons. And this is we can get uncomfortable because this is where we'll do things like virtue signaling, or we'll curate our Christianity. We'll live out our faith in our social media persona. Like we just want to be bigger in our faith than we actually are. This is just as ugly to God. In fact, if you asked me, and we look at the commandment that says, don't use the name of the Lord God in vain, I don't think that means don't say GD. Like, I don't think that's what that means. That means saying, in the name of God, I'm this. I'm telling you this. In the name of God, this is this. In the name of God, you are this. In the name of, I feel like for me, that's using the name of the Lord in vain. I'm taking his name, assigning like his endorsement of me and everything that I'm saying, and now I'm going to like shine that out. You know, I'm a Christian, and so I believe this. And so it goes, wait, hang on. The goal subtly shifts from reflect Jesus to be seen as someone who reflects Jesus. I want the reputation of Jesus, right? But I don't want to pay the price. I want the glory of Jesus, the shine of Jesus, but I don't want the cross of Jesus. I don't want to die to myself like Jesus specifically told me to do. I don't want to do any of that. I just want the shine. I like the bumper stickers and the t-shirts. I like the, reputation of being, super Jesus-y without paying the price of it. Matthew 6:1 says that, I did say that. Take care not to do your good deeds publicly or before men in order to be seen by them. Otherwise, you will have no reward reserved for or awaiting for you in heaven. So if you're doing things only to be seen doing things, if you're like, look at this, see what I did for these people. And I feel like sometimes I feel like I toe that line a lot because I talk about my story a lot. And I feel like some of you could look at me and say, bro, whatever you're doing in public, quit doing it and tell me about it because it looks like you're just showing off. And I know that I toe that line, but I only do that so you know what's possible. Because it's possible. It's possible to be kind, and maybe you already know that. Maybe you're like this guy altogether. Maybe you're like Listen, maybe you're moving homeless people all over town, and maybe you got $10,000 invested in Compassion International, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you do, and I just don't know about it because you're following this rule. But I want to make sure I'm really clear that we're out there being Jesus to others. And I don't do it for my own recognition, because if I were, I would have everything I'm ever going to get. The recognition, the Volunteer of the Year award, or the Citizen of the Year award, that would be the end of it if I was only doing it to get that award. I'm doing it so that more people know who Jesus Christ is. And so I'm not doing it to shine. I'm doing it to make him available, to make a big deal about Jesus. And that's the warning, because you can look bright and still not be the light. And the danger doesn't end with your duplicity or falseness. The danger doubles down when we misrepresent God. Like I said, using the name of the Lord in vain. John 3:18, 1 John said 3:18 says, little children, believers and dear ones, let us not love merely in theory or with word and with tongue, giving lip service to compassion, but in action and in truth, in practice and in sincerity, because practical acts of love are more than words. Like, that's a thing. I don't want to just talk about doing it. In fact, I go so far as I don't even just want to write a check about it. I want to do the thing. I want to do, because people will see the thing. And it says that when you're a light, everyone will see the light and know how beautiful God is and know how wonderful God is if they can see the light. So, which is it? Is it let your light shine, or don't do things to be seen? And I think it's both, because the issue isn't visibility, it's motive. It's not how you look when you're shining. It's like, why do you want to shine? Because I feel like a love that overflows can't be overlooked. If I have overflowing love, no one can look past that. No one cannot see that. No one cannot feel that. And I want to be that. Overflowing with love, hope, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Patience? No, I said patience. I want to overflow with it. I love this in Luke. This is one of my favorite verses in Luke. Give, and it will be given to you. Love, I paraphrase that, will pour into your lap a good measure, meaning a lot. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over, with no space left for more. For with the standard of measurement you use when you love and do good to others, it will be measured to you in return. This is the picture that Jesus is saying here. He's like, listen, I want so much because you do this thing when you're trying to get more in, you shake it, you know what I mean? So it kind of settles a little bit so you can get more into the top. You know what I'm talking about? And this is the kind of love that God's talking about. There's another version that talks about how it's going to fill up your lap. Like if you make a in one of the versions, I can't do it because my shirt's too tight. But if you make like this thing with your shirt, he says, it'll fill this thing up. So that's overflowing. So much so you can't even hold it in your hands. Can't even hold it in this thing. That's how much love, he said, will come back to you if you give your love. That's my motivation. I want to love so that people see that, so that people encounter that. I want people to encounter Christ through me, not because of my biblical knowledge that I can recite scripture, but because they feel Christ when they're around me. Do people feel Christ when they're around you? Light is revealed, not manufactured. Light doesn't perform. It reveals, it reflects, it refracts the source. John 8:12 says this. Jesus spoke to the people once more and said, I'm the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness because you will have the light that leads to life. You're not the source. You're the reflection. Which means if you're close to Jesus, your life will naturally shine. The more I know about Jesus, the more my life shines. No forcing, no staging, no hiding. Supernaturally reflected, magnified, and intensified. That's what happens in me. That's what should happen in you. in old lighthouses, you think of a lighthouse, you think, oh, look, there's a light on the top of a tower. That's not exactly how it works. That's not exactly how it works. Like it's not. I mean, there are some lights like that. Like there's a, like a radio tower on top of a hill. It's like, it's red and it just, what I mean. It doesn't. The light's just there. The light doesn't get thrown. I don't know why I did that left-handed, because you ever notice like when you throw with your offhand, you kind of throw like kind of a little wonky. So it's not thrown. I don't know why it's that way. I don't know. Anyway, the light's not thrown, it's just on. And so these old lighthouses, they would use this glass that was bent, right? And like shaped so that the light would get thrown. So now it's not just a light on the coast somewhere, it's a light that like gets thrown out over the surface of the ocean. Right? It's like it has distance, it has reach. This refraction, this Fresnel lens. It's this massive layered glass lens built all with these rings and these mirrors and this. And here's what's fascinating. The light source itself was never that strong. But the lens would capture it, focus it, and project it. That's the word I was looking for. Project it miles out into the darkness. So ships didn't necessarily see the little light bulb inside. They'd see this reflection that was cast. They saw the light carried and amplified through the lens. And that's the picture of us. And this, my walk from here until kingdom come, my walk is, I want to create more of those refractions. I want to create more of those angles and more of those. I'm chiseling away at my glass, right? Like how can I reflect more? How can I reflect further? That's the job. That's the job. How can I be more reflective? How can I be more refractive? Or how can I be more? And that's what I'm doing. Just chiseling away at my glass. I'm going to add a whole nother ring here. Let's see how far I go. That's the picture. You are not the source of the light. Jesus is. But your life, it's the lens. So if the lens is clean, the light shines clearly. If it's aligned, the light travels far. If it's uncovered, the light is visible. But if the lens is clouded or misaligned or covered, the light doesn't stop existing. It just stops being seen. Jesus is still there, but no one can see him in you. Because you've covered it, or it's got all cloudy, it's got all filthy, or it's just flat, or it's just, you know what I mean? This is why we don't have to manufacture the light. We don't have to force the light. We don't have to perform the light. We just have to stay close enough to Jesus to let him shape your life and remove whatever is blocking the light. That's the vocation that we're all in. That's the kingdom vocation that we're all up to. So if you're wondering what you're up to, because I mean, we all have jobs. I mean, I guess I don't really have a job, but I feel like we all kind of had jobs. And there's a job. There's a mission to the job. There's a purpose to the job. You're supposed to sell property and casualty insurance and some life if you can get that, because that's a good payday if you can sell a life insurance policy. There's a mission. There's a vocation. And this is our vocation as a church. How far can we throw the light? Not how well can I behave, not how much Bible can I know. How far can I throw the light? How far do I reflect and refract and propel the light? That's the job. And that's what we should be asking ourselves. Am I getting to church enough? Am I reading the Bible enough? All those things are important. It's critical that you're at church. It's critical that you're in the Word so that you can draw closer to Jesus. The more I know about Jesus, the more I can reflect. And that's the job. So as always, we've got a handful of questions that we'd like to share with you that you can discuss at your table. If you're at a table by yourself and you don't want to be by yourself, like invite yourself over. If you see someone that's sitting by themselves, make sure you invite them over. But don't make them come because they might just want to be by themselves. But anyway, take these last 15 minutes that we've got together and just work through this because this is the most important part.